Pleasant morning, awesome afternoon, and excellent evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and we are here to talk about whether self-love comes before love of others, or does love of others come before self-love? That's the topic of the week. Personally, I have my feelings about it, but I want everyone to say what they need to say and to talk very openly and freely about this, because it's something that affects everyone, not just one person. I am going to let Huzaifa come in, but if the noise is on his microphone, I will need to remove him immediately. He cannot stay. Okay, let's start with Shivali. What do you think about love? Does it start with loving oneself? Or does it start with loving everyone?
Okay, thank you, Carla. Well, something very dicey, G-I-C right here. As I was saying last time also, that right from the, from our childhood, we are somehow conditioned, to receive love. And we expect also. A baby cries, for instance, and the mother or the father, whoever it is, satisfies the little one. So we get conditioned gradually, of expectation is there, you see. So as Victor had pointed out in one of our programs that let's look at love as an emotion. If I look at love as an emotion, most of the time we only think in terms of that me loving someone else, you know. I'm always thinking in terms of my parents or my family or my friend, someone, my sweetheart, and so on. And if I speak for myself, as I mentioned also in the last program that we had, that I was never taught self-love, never ever. I was always told, do this, be kind, be merciful, help others, love others. Even if someone does wrong, forgive him or her, and so on and so forth. The education system, both the religion practices, my spiritual retreats, the focus was more on uh, focusing on others. But I feel that it is more important to love oneself because, as they say, that, if your cup is full, then only you can share with someone else, right? So I feel, yes, loving others is important, but even more important is to love oneself, to accept oneself the way I am. So to accept Shivali, that is, Shivali accepts Shivali the way Shivali is, with her flaws and with her goodness. So I personally feel, with my life's experience, that loving oneself first is more important than loving someone else. Because if I can value myself, I can value someone else also. It is something which should happen simultaneously, but it doesn't happen all the way because of our conditioning.
And I agree with you. And I think many people are afraid to love oneself. They think if I love oneself, that's being very egotistical. But is that really true, Ingolf?
Interesting question, really, because this is I was immediately triggered, or my brain triggered the setting of a concert. I'm a musician, obviously, and there we have this, that the question of do you play for yourself the music, or do you play for the audience? That for some reason triggered, and some do this, some do that, and I think you have to play for yourself first. Like, you have to be fully behind what you do in order to touch others, and from a different angle about the love, it's pretty similar. I think you yourself have to be in balance first before, like in terms of love and emotion, in order to really be free to give it to others or to let others in your realm. And so definitely you have to do your homework first, and love yourself and be in harmony in order to be open to put others into harmony.
I totally agree. And we'll go deeper into it, but thank you for such a great answer. Rubina.
Thank you for giving me a chance to speak over it. So I totally agree with Ingolf, and Shivali also talked about it. I believe that to give something, to be a giver, you have to have it in abundance for yourself first, right? So it comes to love also, like anything else. You want to give something to someone, like you want to share your food with someone, you want to share with your money with someone, you want to share anything. The same is with love too. So what if you don't have it for your own self? How can you give it to others too? How can you share it with others too? So you have to love yourself first, you have to give it to yourself first, and then you will be able to share it with others. And there are so many ways to love oneself. Self-care, I think, is one of the way to love oneself. And self-awareness is another way to love oneself. So yes, I am of this opinion that first we have to love ourselves, we have to learn to love ourselves, and then only we'll be able to give it to others.
Why do you think people have such trouble loving themselves?
Sometimes they are, some people, they are too much, like the word, how can I use it? They are the biggest critique of themselves. Not the other people, they criticize them, but they are their own biggest critique. Like they hate some people. I've seen some people, they hate their appearance. Some people, they hate if they have some weakness, psychological weakness or emotional weakness. They hate it. And they criticize themselves, they blame themselves for their weaknesses, and it's a hindrance to love themselves. Self-awareness, you should be very well aware of your weaknesses, and don't be too harsh or hard on yourself. And then learn self-care, like how you can give care to yourself, because self-care is a way to love, is a kind of self-love. So how much time you spend with yourself, and spending time doesn't mean that spending time, people, they spend time with themselves alone, and they're most of the time they're busy on their cell phones or with these gadgets. It's not the quality of time you spend with yourself. There are so many ways to have that quality of time. You meditate, you do exercise, you do yoga, you do some mindfulness practices. So yeah, self-care is a way to towards self-love and self-awareness. You have to be well aware of your flaws, your weaknesses, and you have to accept them. You have to accept yourself as is. Don't be a big critique of yourself, and don't blame yourself too much. And only then you will be able to give it to others.
Yes, Rubina, I agree. Yes, I agree, because compassion for oneself is also very important. So we accept yourself the way you are, or the way I am. And you see, as Ingolf had pointed out a little earlier, he was telling us about frequencies, vibrations. When I am happy within, you know, uh, the vibrations that I give out, the frequency that I sent out to the universe attracts more of it. It enables me to spread. It has that ripple effect, and this is something which I think most of us experience it. Like, for example, whenever I feel sad or I'm very tired, I turn to music. I actually turn to music and I've done it. I don't mind sharing it here also. If I'm very tired and I'm really feeling out, the first thing I do is I play a music of my choice and I dance. And believe me, within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, the transformation, it's like it's amazing. And then the challenges that I might be facing around me with my family or with people, I look upon them also with love and with compassion. And whatever, even if I'm not agreeing with them, I somehow agree. Now, what is this? I have loved myself. I've taken, like as you said, Rubina, about nurturing oneself. This concept of nurturing oneself through whatever means. Like, I love to write, for example. I love to write. It gives me a different kind of a high. And then if someone approaches me and said, Shivali, can you do this for me? I said, of course. See, the vibrations have changed. The frequency has changed. So it is about within and without. That microcosm and macrocosm, if you wish to call it. So it's all about frequency. It's all about vibration. So love is an energy also. It is not just an emotion, it's an energy. The interconnectedness with everything around us. Ultimately, we are at the center. You know, that's the way the creation has been made or created. This is the way I look at it. So very
Yes,
nicely pointed out by Rubina. Yes.
yes, because love is an emotion, and like any other emotion, and love is the most powerful and strongest emotion on this universe, right? And all the emotions, they carry energy. So what you talked about music, listening to the music, we try to connect our energy to the energy of that singer, of that song, or whatever, or the piece of writing that we're reading, whatever. So we try to connect our energy to that energy, and it gives us. And if it's a loving one, it's a loving piece, whatever it is. So it gives us that energy. We connect ourselves to it. And what you said about like the love is the how we have been created. So if you guys don't mind, I want to share an experience reading a wonderful book, and which gives me this wonderful idea about what love is. So 2 years ago, I was reading this book written by a neurosurgeon from America, and its name is Proof of Heaven. So it's about NDE. NDE is near-death experience. So he wrote about his journey into the afterlife. And what I get from that book is the essence is that, and I was so moved by his story about what I get from it about love is that I made a short video at that time. And I just concluded 3 statements that I want to share with you guys. And those statements were, the first one was that God has created this universe on the principle of love. And the second one is love is the foundation of life. And the third one is love is the essence of life. And the title I gave to that video was because whatever is happening around us on this earth is it's all chaos, mess, devastation, and uh, it there's so much we are deficient of love actually, and it affects all of us in so many different ways. So the title I gave to that video was that love is the only ingredient that humanity needs the most right now. So the idea I got from that book was that God created this universe and everything in this universe, the life, on this principle of love. And whenever someone, whether it's an individual, whether it's a group of people, whether it's a nation as a whole, they deviate from this principle, it leads to chaos, devastation, and mess. So we all individually or in a group form or whatever, or as a nation, we should try um, to keep ourselves to be on work on this principle, to keep our lives working on this principle, based on this principle. I hope I will be able to present what I perceive from reading that book. And
Rubina, you speak very clearly. Please stop apologizing for yourself. Give yourself that love that you're talking about. That apology is saying you don't trust yourself. And I need you to stop doing that.
okay.
And everyone who is on the show, I hope you're sharing out the links. You can either share out the YouTube link or the Facebook link, but make sure it gets on your timeline as soon as possible. I just put them in the chat. Huzaifa, I want to give you a chance, but if we hear that noise, I'm going to have to ask you to mute yourself immediately because we can't understand you. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to do it, but I may have to. So unmute yourself and do a quick introduction and then tell us what you think, what you consider is more important, self-love or regular. Huzaifa, you just disappeared. Huzaifa, put on your camera or I'm going to have to put you in the waiting room. Okay, let's just keep this conversation going about love and see where it goes. It's very interesting what's happening today. Who wants to talk?
Well, I just, I completely agree with you guys. But just for the sake of conversation, because we cannot all say, I would like to ask the question, what do you think? When is self-love going to selfishness? Like, can you overdo self-love? What do you think?
I don't know if you can outdo self-love, but you can outdo your ego that keeps on saying, hey, you're not good enough, or you're not able to do this. And once you begin believing that, you begin going out and showing yourself in a different way from who you really are. So that's when I think love turns into more of a narcissistic thing instead of something that is who you really are. Does that make sense? I don't know if I said that clearly. Someone help me out.
Shivali, what do you think?
I think when you asked this question, what was coming to my mind, frankly speaking, it was about a choice. We have a choice. For example, when would my self-love become selfishness? I'm hungry and I have my favorite pastry in front of me and I want to eat, I want to indulge, I want to enjoy. And a member of my house comes along and says, I would like to have that pastry. Another member comes and says, even I would like to have a piece of that. Now I have a choice. Either I gulp the entire pastry down, then I'm being what? Selfish? Thinking only about myself. But if I say that, okay, but I want a major share, but I can share with you also, then I think it's not being selfish. I don't know whether I'm able to explain it, But yes, it can become a matter of choice. When you're just feeding your ego, me, myself, that greed, there's a need and a greed for it. So if it turns into a greed of self-indulgence, then definitely it borders on to selfishness. So yes, uh, the line I would say is very thin at times. So it's a choice also. So when you're talking about love, love also is a choice that we are making at certain moments. Yes, definitely. We are human. Uh, we are not without flaws. That's also a part of the human nature. So that's again accepting that part also of human nature. That acceptance word comes to me again and again. I don't know
I'm
if
not
you
sure.
also want to hear.
I don't necessarily agree with that because I think you do make choices. I agree with that, and we all make choices. But I think sometimes when we're reacting or we are responding to someone, we're not actually making a conscious choice. I think a politician, for example, and I don't want to get into politics a lot, a politician may want to serve the country, but in order to do what he or she wants, she makes he or she makes a choice to do something that may seem very narcissistic, but not it's not actually a choice. It's what the what the environment is saying to do. They're not going inside and saying, well, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? But everyone's telling me I should do this, and I don't think it's right. But I need to do it because everyone is telling me to do it. And that is a choice, but is it a conscious choice, really? Or is it a choice given that is made because everyone around them is saying, hey, that's not good? What do you think, Rubina? I should have gone back to Shivali, but I want everyone involved.
I think you better ask Shivali first.
No, I'm asking you, and don't you dare do that again, or
Okay, so I would like to first talk about the question Ingolf asked about selfishness and self-love and so what I was thinking about it, the way I was thinking about it is that sometimes we have to be selfish if we want to uh, give love to others. How? Like if I make a choice at the moment, like I don't want to make the other person feel disappointed, or I don't want the other person to feel bad, but I made a wrong choice, and later on it will affect me feeling bad, and I won't be able to keep that emotion of love or care for that person in the same way. Then was it the good choice at that moment? No, then I had to make the choice, which would be going into that the thing of being selfishness. The other person could say that, oh, she is selfish, but that selfishness would lead me to be healthy emotionally and psychologically at the end, to keep loving myself and to keep loving that other person or the people around me. So in that way, if you have to become a little selfish, you have to do that. That's what I think so. And what you talked about, Carla, about politicians and politics, I wouldn't be able to.
no, but it wasn't about politicians and politics. It's about everyone. We all make decisions to do things. But do we do the decision because we're consciously aware? Or are we doing the decision because everyone else is telling us to do it?
Means we get influence from other people and we
Right.
are taking our
We always
decisions.
do.
And
Yeah,
when we get that influence, is that really working on self-love, or are we wanting to be loved by someone else? That's the question, not politicians. I shouldn't have even used that word, but I did because I came out.
it's a difficult question. It's a
Now,
difficult
what
question.
do you think? Do you, when you make a decision based on someone else, is that being truthful to yourself, or is it being truthful to someone else?
Personally,
And that's how I'm answering his question. I didn't change it at all. I'm just asking that people think about that. I didn't change his question. It's the same question. Maybe
I think
not. What do you think?
I think we should not make our decisions by getting influence from other people. It will be a more regret and later on, and we wouldn't be even able to self-love ourselves later on. We will be I don't think so. So personally, what I do is I always try to make my decisions based on my own opinion and what I want to do. I don't get influenced easily by other people and their opinion.
But Rubina, in reality, I'm just using a hypothetical situation. If you make a decision to do something, you're in a situation. I said to you, I don't want you doing something. To you, you may say, but I need to do it because that's in my heart. But you want to be a part of the conversation. Are you always conscious of the decision you are making?
That's a deep topic.
That's part of what we're talking about. That's what self-love is.
Well,
within and saying, oh, I don't like what...
The question is generally, to what degree is there really something, let's say free will, or let's say that I think this and this is really my opinion and nobody else has given me this opinion. Is this really so? Because I mean, most of our lives we run on the subconscious program, which only if you're really going above the realm of reality almost, you might find that there's, you might see from a bird's eye view on the world. Maybe some people never do their whole life. So we are kind of run by our subconscious program. So also the concept of self-love is basically given to you by somebody else. So by your parent at first and by your environment in the education. So it's really a difficult question, because what do you have to do in order to really say, how can I really say that I love myself? Like, how, what is that? I mean, I myself only feel how I feel, and you feel how you feel. I don't know how you feel, and you don't feel how I feel. So only for ourselves we can be honest to kind of let's say the holographic thing that is our spacesuit that we go through this reality with. So it's really, if we start this topic, I think we have to go into what is reality itself. So this is,
but that's what this is about. What is reality? Reality is only made in our own mind.
Exactly.
Loving someone is happens in your own mind. It has nothing to do, who I love and how I love someone has nothing to do with you, Rubina, Shivali, or Huzaifa, or anyone for that matter.
Mm.
But often when we say we love someone, we're looking for some type of reward from it. We want that person to say, I love you, but it may not be a reality. Those people who come to me the first time and say, oh, Carla, I love you so much. I'm like, why are you saying that? You don't even know me. You know me for these few seconds that we're on a show.
It's a good point, because sometimes when you love somebody, it's the same thing as when you do good to somebody. Often that's a selfish act. You do good for something because you feel good. So, so it's really it's a tricky thing.
Basically, you're doing it because you're doing it for yourself, actually.
Exactly.
You're not doing it for the other person.
I think it always comes down to the feeling, because I mean our systems, our body and our spacesuit, or however you call it, it's so complex that we don't understand it anyway. Even if we would want to understand it, we'll never understand it. So at the end of the day, all these systems that work for us to be what we are giving us the feedback kind of in terms of feeling. So if I feel good, in balance with myself, then that's the maximum I can do. So far, I've learned that in my life. So meaning then, if you feel really good, you can say, I love my life, or I love what I am or what I do. Like if you don't have any, like if your spacesuit, if your body doesn't give you a different feeling than what you just said, then I think it's true. But you will never really know why. So this is how far I came so far.
But that goes with love. You may not know why you love someone or you care for someone. You may care for someone that treats you like dirt at times, and at other times very kind, very generous, and very giving. And you still love that person, and that's what it is.
Is it something in terms of energy, frequency only, that we don't have any influence over that we are basically are in a roller coaster, that we just go anywhere without us having influence over it? What do you think?
I think there's some truth to that sometimes we do that. Sometimes we care for someone without much influence of our own feelings. And when that happens, it happens. I could be wrong. But if it makes me feel good to love someone and to care for someone, why would I leave? Why would I not be there to help out that person? Huzaifa, I believe you're, it's great. Let's see if you can talk.
Okay, can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yay!
Okay, hello everyone, I am Huzaifa, and Carla already knows me, and I did some sessions before, but I had some issues in between, so I couldn't come, but now I'm back. So as I saw the topic, I think that was that you can't love someone until you love yourself. So first, I will tell you my thoughts on it, then I will continue the conversation that we were having. So my thoughts on that is that loving oneself, loving yourself is mandatory in life. I mean, selfishness and self-love is something completely different. At some point, I also thought that selfishness and self-love are the same things. I didn't care for myself. I didn't think that I'm anything. I used to complain to myself all the time. Even when my mother would say that I'm good at something, I would always complain, no, I'm this and I'm that. So at some point, I also thought that selfishness and self-love was the same. I just didn't want to think to myself that I'm something good, I'm something great, because I thought that would turn me into a selfish person, which I didn't want. So after some time,
Wow.
I learned that unless you love yourself, you truly love yourself, you cannot progress in life properly. You cannot truly love another. Like self-worth, self-rule, and self-respect. These three things have great value in our world. And without these three things, I don't know a person would be happy. They might be happy, but it's like they will have this feeling inside them. These three things start with the word self. And self-love also start with the word self. But it is not given the same respect and the same values as the three other words. It's all about how we look at it. It's all about our perspective. Like we all think that self-worth, self-respect is everything. But unless we love ourselves, unless we have self-love, we cannot achieve self-worth or self-respect or self-rule or anything. So first we have to truly know who we are inside and accept it. That we shouldn't change ourselves for someone else, because people are here to criticize. And if we criticize ourselves for other people and we try to change ourselves for them, that would just not be us. That would separate us from ourselves. It might make others happy, but it will be this feeling in the bottom of our heart that we will not be happy. So loving yourself and accepting who you really are is really important in life, and you need to progress with it. And you need to give yourself some time. Like it can be put in this way: if you're talking to someone else and you're trying to explain something to them, like in any language, and you try doing that same thing while you're alone to yourself, you will see that you will kind of enjoy that convo with yourself, and you will just get some messages in your mind, and you will just keep talking to yourself. Some might say that that's psycho or something, but that's just a self exercise that enhance yourself to become who you truly are. You need to connect with your inner self. You need to learn about yourself more. Like we say that if you love someone or if you care about someone, you should know more about them so you can give better things to them. So if you want to love yourself and if you want to do better in this world, you will first have to look into yourself, and you will first have to try to enhance who you are for your own good. Don't try to change for someone else. Just do whatever you want for yourself. That's not selfishness. And it becomes selfishness if we overdo it. It becomes selfishness when we stop caring about others in front of us. When we start behaving like everyone else, when we start wearing others in our shoe, when we start arguing with everyone that we are the greatest, we are superior, that's when it becomes selfishness, and that's when it becomes a bad personality. That's when you become the worst person. That's when you do the worst thing you could have ever done to yourself. But self-love, without it, you can't even progress. Now, so you should keep it to this way that love yourself. Do what's good for you. Don't change yourself, but don't go too far, or don't go too ahead in this that you forget what others are. Keep in mind that others are for some value as well. Just keep your and others' value together, and then imagine yourself in this world. Those are my thoughts.
Amazing, amazing. Wow, that was really nice. And I completely agree when I say that yes, we should not change ourselves just to please someone, you know. And yes, we should not overdo things. And self-love, yes, is very important because it helps us to attain self-worth and all that you have mentioned. Thank you so much. I'm truly What should I say? It's lovely. It's really lovely to hear him. Thank you so much, Carla, for bringing him on.
You're very welcome. But I want to point out something, that we are not always aware that we are putting other people in front of us. Sometimes we do it conscious, sometimes we're aware of it. But many times if let's say I was having a conversation with you, and this is something I'm becoming aware that I do, and I hear what you say, and I agree with some of it, and I don't always agree with all of it, but I'll put you in front of my knowing until I get away from it and I'm thinking about it. Well, no, I can't really do that. And I really cannot do that because I don't totally agree. It feels wrong inside to a point. And that's what I'm talking about, putting self-love in front of us or behind us. And having said that, Krishna decided to join us, my little cat.
I would like to know what he thinks about it, or she.
What do you think, Krishna? Do you all know?
Yeah.
When you think about it, any animal loves unconditionally. If you feed that animal's going to be there forever. If you have the animal in your house and you forget to feed that animal, or you forget to give them water every day, that animal's going to run away. And there's truth to what I'm saying right now. What do you think, Rubina? Do you think he loves unconditionally? Or does he think, well, right now I like Carla, so I'm going to be very loving to her, but I don't want to continue being loving to her. He doesn't think about that.
I think,
Meanwhile, he's sleeping.
So I think
I
animals say,
think that animals understand this concept way better than us, because when we think about love and when we're talking about all of these things, this also comes in hand, and this also falls into the part of with loyalty. That if we are good to a human, or if we show affection or love to a human, they might not think the same. Like, I'm giving gifts to someone, I'm making them happy, I'm writing down the things that they love, and I'm trying to please them. And maybe they won't be pleased, they still hate me because of some other things that I do. And I will try to change myself that because I love that person. So that is when self-love comes in, that we need to love ourselves more sometimes than others. But now when you said that we need to be aware, so we can be aware of selfishness. When self-love turns into selfishness, it's like when you are loving yourself more than anyone else in the world. At most points, that should be what you do. But when it's all the time, when it's in everything, to everyone, for everyone, then that's when you've turned selfish. That's when self-love becomes selfishness. And you should also be aware that when we're conscious, we do know that who we like to sit with, who we like to give gifts to. When we stop caring about someone, when we start thinking that I have like we have some money and we want to buy some gifts for someone else, but we stop there and think that why not buy something for myself, although you don't need it. Like, I have 100 clothes in my wardrobe, but still I like a dress and I want to buy it, while my cousin or my friend who really needs some clothes, I like that friend and I play with him. I want to gift him on his birthday because he really needs the clothes. But before buying them, I think to myself that this would look good in my wardrobe. This would look good in my collection. And you buy it for yourself. That's when you put selfishness. That's when you put yourself in front of all other needs. So when you talk about needs and wanting and need, so when you really want something, that's a different scenario. But when you really need something, and that's a completely different thing. You can put yourself in front of other people's needs if you need more than them. Like if I don't have a single cloth to wear and my clothes are really dirty and I have to go to a wedding or in some function and I really need clothes, that's when I can say, I really need it. That's when I can buy those clothes. But if I want it and my friend is the one that really needs it, so and I still buy it for myself, that's selfishness. So putting needs ahead of want, putting the word need behind want is when you turn selfish. And one thing that I like about cats and dogs and most animals is that they don't have this ability. They mostly don't have. If you feed a cat or a dog like till 4 to 5 days at a specific time regularly, you will see at the 7th or 8th or 6th day that animal, cat or dog will be at your door asking for food or whatever you give, and it will also help you when you're in trouble. This scenario actually happened to us. I have a little brother named Mujtaba. He's like 5 years old and he just started liking cats because when we eat like meat or a stew, we have some leftover bones or a little meat. So my mother likes to give it to cats or dogs that are stray cats that are roaming outside. So one day she gave it to my little younger brother. Usually it's me or my dad, but one day she gave it to my younger brother, and she told him that put it over there, and any cat would come and eat it. He went and put the shopper. After 1 to 2 hours, my mother called out to my younger brother and said, "Look, the food that you put that cat is eating," and he felt happy inside. And he said, "From tomorrow onwards, I will be the one. If whenever meat is left or whenever there are bones in the house or whenever we need to give any food to animals, I will be the one to give it." And he now does that. Even one day, now, 1 week ago, my mom gave him some bones to put outside. He went in search for a cat, and obviously that cat was an alley cat, so that cat tried to run away. And he, being a 5-year-old, started running after it, and he went like far from home in nearby shops, and he started roaming around. We all got so worried that he hasn't come back, and then my dad, my sister, and me went looking for him, and we found out he was chasing that cat to give it the food. He got a little scold for that by my dad, and my mother said, "Are you crazy? You shouldn't run after the cat. Just put it somewhere. The cat will come and eat it itself." And he said, "But I didn't know if the cat wanted or not, so I was running after him." So after that day, he just puts it somewhere and the cat comes and eat, and he really likes it. And he even tried to touch a cat one day, an alley cat, and I told him, "No, don't touch it like that. You will get infected or something." Because even I haven't developed that much affection to cats or dogs. And one day when we didn't even eat meat, we just ate vegetables and we didn't have any bones or leftover meat. So what happened? My brother came back from outside and that cat followed him inside to our house. The same cat that used to eat the food, it came inside our house and it just won't leave. We worked really hard to get it out. And now he says that if any bone is left, just give it to me. Because the cat now follows him. The cat has now developed affection for my brother. So this is something that happens inside.
Okay,
You can't control it.
Huzaifa, we do need to end the show in about 3 minutes. But I do want to tell you, do not feed any animal cooked bones that are cooked, because that could end up being very dangerous for the animal. Make sure that you are always feeding raw, uncooked bones, because they can take it in
Sure.
and it won't go the whole way because they're brittle. So please don't do that again. You can feed the meat off the bones. Okay, guys, we do need to end very soon. And I love what Huzaifa was saying, but I want everyone's 1 minute opinion. Huzaifa, we won't be able to come back to you, of what they gained from the show, and then we need to leave. Ladies first, Rubina.
So I think what Huzaifa was talking about is about animals' loves is that when their basic needs is fulfilled, they love you unconditionally. And there's only the God's love is unconditional love. Otherwise, we human beings or the nature around us, plants, animals, these things, they love us unconditionally if their needs are fulfilled. Otherwise, human beings, they have too many expectations from each other's, and basic needs are not just enough to give unconditional love. And the main topic that we were talking about is about can we give it to other without loving ourselves first? No, we should have to have it enough to give it to others. To be a giver, you have to have that thing in abundance for yourself first, and then only you'll be able to give it to others. That's my opinion about it.
Okay, thank you, Rubina. Shivali.
Yes, once again, I would reiterate that self-love is very important and it provides us inner strength, and then we can reach out to others also. But it is not a condition as such that if only this happens, it will happen. It's not like that. One can simultaneously love oneself and love someone else also. And secondly, what Zefa said a little while earlier, it's about greed and need. Okay. And a little while, even before that, we were saying that, this concept of love, what is selfishness, what is love, is again, it's varying from individual to individual. It's about the mindset when it comes to making a choice, whether we are guided by others or what we should do, what we shouldn't do. It's about mindset, the value system of that individual family, what the child has received or what an individual has received from the family, what it has she or he has observed in the family. All this, there are multiple influences on the individual. But ultimately, we should understand this, that yes, self-love is important. And to sum it up from my side, as Ravina has very beautifully put, and I completely agree on this, that in this world, whatever emotion we are feeling as human beings, they are very noble, they're very nice, but once again, these are all temporary emotions because somewhere or the other, we as human beings will have our flaws. And the only time we can think of pure love, obviously, it is divine love. God has unconditional love for us. And this we can see from so many examples that we find in our scriptures that God created this world for us. And in the Christian tradition, He sends His own Son on earth to bear the things for us. So this is a one of the best examples we have where we can see that, yes, God loves us unconditionally. So as human beings, yes, we are conditioned by our flaws at times, but it's okay. Accept it. It's a part of life.
Okay, I need to really move over to Ingolf and close the show, but thank you so very much, Valley.
Well, I
Very, very quickly, Ingolf.
very quickly. To the point. Definitely agree. You have to love yourself before you can give it to others. It's like an oxygen mask in the plane. You put it on first in order to help other people, and wanting, needing that triggered that we absolutely don't need always what we want. So, and we are not in charge often. So life or that simulation gives us what we need very often, which is not always what we want. So this one has to take care of. And as we all agree, love is the most important energy in the world. Everything high frequency vibration is everything. And I think we just have to live our life and to try to find what that inner self really is and love it.
Thank you so very much. And because we don't always live in that vibration, we need to realize that sometimes, although you want to say, I do it all the time, sometimes we don't. We kind of slip out and we do something because I want Shivali to like me, or I want Ingolf to come back to the show, and the only way I can do it is if he's happy, or I need to make Huzaifa happy. And it's more important to stay with what we know to be true within. Having said that, we will be back on Thursday for another episode. Episode isn't the right word, but it's the only thing that came out of MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and we will again be speaking with some other people about whether self-love is important first or is love of other people. And people, I would really appreciate it if you like what's going on here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gigglefest University, and you can find all the shows that I have on that channel. Thank you so very much. And can we wave goodbye?
Bye.
Bye, everyone.